and get a, just basically to make sure that you guys are doing okay. Because I know it's this asynchronous format, virtual format, can leave you kind of like you're on an island all by yourself and disconnected from the actual class. And so this tries to give some semblance of normalcy. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen and let's talk about the syllabus first. Actually, not, wait, sorry, wrong one. There we go. So to give you a little bit of background, I went to Poly many years ago. I graduated in the early 90s. I in a department now is known as materials engineering. At the time, it was metallurgical engineering, and then I subsequently went to graduate school to study more of that. And I'm a practicing metallurgist, metallurgical engineer, and so I, in addition to teaching in the ME department, I also have a consulting business on the side, which allows me to look at failure analysis. And I actually do a lot of work with attorneys, which is kind of fun. So I've been teaching statics now for 6 years. I've been in the ME department for 6 years. I've been at Poly for a total of 20. And I have, having taught this class so many times, I've kind of noticed there's areas that tend to give, tend to be more challenging than others for you guys. And so that's part of the reason I wanted to have these weekly lectures, is that I could point those things out and maybe help you get through those little bumps. So best way to get hold of me is by my email address, deaneber@Cal Poly, and my office hours are listed. If for some reason you can't make my office hours, please email me, let me know. We can work something out so that we can, you can definitely get the help you need. I think it's important. Some of you may never see me in office hour the whole quarter and do fine. Some of you may come regularly. So, you know, it's really up to you, but I don't want you to feel like there's not help out there, because there is. So as far as the textbook goes, you may recognize Beer Johnston. The 12th edition, I believe, is the current version that's sold in the bookstore. And I believe they may sell a version of statics and dynamics together. And it's a pricey book. But I use the 11th edition, which has been around since 2015. So there's lots of copies out there relatively. I think some of them don't cost anything, depending on where you find them. I'm not going to comment on that, but I'd say that I've got mixed reviews from students. Some students find that having the book is very advantageous, others don't. So I guess it depends on your style. I try to include as much as I can in the lectures, but there is stuff that you can find in the book that's not included in the lectures because there's just not enough time. I try to keep the lectures to what they would be if we were in a classroom, and there's just not enough time to cover absolutely everything. So I would encourage you to get a copy of the book. It's not very expensive. You could even probably get a 10th edition because the material is essentially the same, just the page numbers are different. But for the homework, instead of assigning you problems out of the book where I tell you to do problems 5.11 and 5.13, where you'd have to have the book, the homework, I actually have the problems physically on the paper. So when you download the homework, you'll see the figure and what you need to do in it. So in that sense, you won't need the book for it. Now, homework is a big part of the class. It's only 16% of the grade, which what that does is it breaks down to there's 8 assignments that I will collect and grade. So out of the total 1,000 points in the class, the homework is worth 160. So that breaks down to 20 points per assignment, or 2% of your grade per assignment. And so the homework, I check it off for completeness, but you know, some people may be tempted to just copy the solutions and turn it in. And yeah, I'm not going to go through with a fine-tooth comb to see if that's the case, but it will come back to bite you in the butt on the midterm, especially. You need to master the material on your own. And so, you're going to do what you're going to do. I'm just telling you from experience what I've seen works and what I've seen doesn't work. And copying the homework doesn't work generally. So then there's the quizzes. Those will be every week, starting next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday. And then we'll have a quiz every week except for the week of the midterm. The midterm will be the 5th week. And then our final exam will be Monday of finals week. And so we have a common final on Monday, and that test, it's a 2-part test. The first part is asynchronous, can be done anytime that day. And the second part will be done live with me from 7 to about 8:30 at night. So put that in your planner because that's when that exam will be. So don't plan on any trips or any adventures before that. Okay, so homework I've discussed. The homework is assigned and you'll turn it in on Canvas, and I'll go to Canvas in a second and show you. And I said we have 1 midterm, 1 final, and then grading, pretty much standard stuff. I do use plus minus. The average of the class is historically about 2.2 to 2.4. And the general information is just essentially don't cheat, and please do the best you can. Get extra help if needed. Try to work out the problems, and you always will do better if you try the problem and make your best effort at it. And if you get stuck, that's nothing wrong with that, and you need help, that's fine. But it's better than don't give up too easily, I guess is what I'm saying. All right. So go back to so here's the course outline, and again, both of these are posted on Canvas, and some of you may have already downloaded it. So this is what the lectures will cover. So lecture 1, for example, that is posted in the module week 1 module. It's not going to cover what I'm talking about today. It'll cover significant figures in the material that's in the first chapter. And typically what I would do if we were in a live lecture is I would talk about the class, and then I would mention a little bit about significant figures, and that would be that. And so there's not a lot with significant figures or units. You should understand basic units. One thing about this class is we do use both SI and English units, but we don't mix them. So if you have a problem that's in English, it'll stay that way. We won't give you meters and pounds or newtons and feet. So the subsequent lines on each of the course outline essentially tell you what you'll be doing that day as far as what the lecture will cover. And so we'll start off with chapter 2. Now, what you'll find with chapter 2 is it's more or less review. Everything the first week up to 2.3c you've probably seen before. Now, if you're a little rusty on it and you need some extra help, by all means, see me in office hour. But if not, it should look familiar. And then we'll start getting into some material that you probably haven't seen before next week, and it'll go from there. So one date to note is the 28th, April 28th. That's the date of our midterm. So we'll have our midterm. It'll be kind of like this. You guys will log in to Canvas, or I'm sorry, to Zoom. Sorry, escaped me there. You'll log into Zoom, and then you guys will all be there while I take the test. If you have questions, you can ask me during the exam, and then you'll turn it in at the end of the hour. And that's the only exam we have other than the final. So that's pretty much what we're going to do. Any questions so far? All right. So here is the Canvas. Hopefully most of you had a chance to look at it. So the layout of Canvas, you've already seen the first page. Most of the material, if everything you need is under the modules. Now, what you're seeing here look different than what you can see because this is my instructor page, but you should see course information that lists my office hours, overview of the class, homework overview. So let's click into that. And so in the homework, I want you to submit it as an Adobe Acrobat file. So whatever, when you finish with your homework, please scan it and then submit it as a PDF. Please don't submit it as a picture, as a series of JPEGs or pictures. That's not fun for me to grade. Also, when you label your homework when you turn it in, please use this format. So ME211, homework 1, and then 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. And then your name, first initial, last name, and then spring 21. So I'd appreciate it if you did that when you turned it in. You can also look at, these are the formatting guidelines here. And I would like you to follow this format. Now you don't have to use engineering paper. I won't require that. Or if you want to do your homework on a tablet, that's fine too. But I would like to see at the top of the page your name, mainly on the first page since you're turning in a file, name, your section. So you guys are section 2. And then 1 of the total number of pages, and then each subsequent page should be numbered. And then, so that's what I'll look for on subsequent pages, is just this. You don't have to have your name on every page. And then the due date, and then you'll say homework 1. Now, typically when you write a problem, you'll say problem 1, and then given and find. And this doesn't have to be super elaborate, but I just want you to get into the habit of writing out your problems this way, because this is something that's going to follow you into dynamics and into C204. And it's good to develop develop good habits now instead of having to unlearn things later. And so the given would be, what information do you have? And the find is, what are you trying to determine? And then from there, you just work out your problem. And it's good when you're doing a problem is to put the equation as an equation before you put just numbers in it. So for example, if you're using the law of cosines, c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2 ac cosine. So you know the equation. It's basically for finding the side of a triangle. And write the actual equation out first and then put the numbers in it. Because if you just put numbers in it, it's not real clear as to what the process is. So you want your homework to look like something that someone could look at and follow what you did, even if they weren't in this class. All right. So I know it's a process. And so the first assignment, I'll write comments like, please be neater, do this, do that. I think neatness is one of the biggest issues I have with homework, is I don't want to have to take it to the pharmacy to have it to be able to read it. So yeah, just try to make it neat. I'm not near as retentive as some of your future instructors may be. So I figure if you can get into good habits now, then you won't have to go through so much pain later. All right. So that's homework. Our first homework assignment is due next Monday, and subsequent assignments will be due on Mondays until the midterm, and then they'll go to Wednesdays. So I will have in the modules, I'll have the live lectures I'll post here. And another thing is assignment, quiz, exam solutions. So after an assignment, I will post the solutions here so that you can look at them after the fact if you have questions. I will also post quiz solutions. So after a quiz, I'll put the solution here so you can look at it. And I also have past midterm solutions. And I've done that because I know my midterms are out there floating around. So I figured everyone should have access to them. So these are midterms going all the way back to winter of 19. In the fall, I did a 2-part midterm, but I'm probably not going to do that. I would say if you're going to look at the format, I would look at the winter format. And I think what this allows you to do is get a sense of the level of difficulty and detail that I ask for in my test. So that's that. So if you miss the live lecture, I do record them and I will post them under this module. And then week 1, so each week we'll have a list of learning objectives. So these are the things that you should come away with when you're done with that week in terms of expectations and understanding. And then here are the lectures, the subsequent lectures. So they're all linked to, they're on YouTube actually, because I don't have enough storage in Canvas to put them there. So this will take you right to them so you can watch them. And then almost every lecture has an accompanying worksheet. And so the worksheet looks like this. So this would be the worksheet where what I would do is I'd have the problem already printed out and written, and then during the lecture, I will actually walk through the problem. And so what I would say is ideally the way you would do these examples is you'd have them, and then when you got to that part of the lecture, I usually say, now try this, and then I say pause the video here, and you should make your effort to try to solve it. And then after you've done that, then continue playing the video, and then it'll show you how to do it. Now, I know reality is most people just watch it straight through. You know, I can't control that. In a classroom setting, what I would actually do is I would pause and I'd give you the problem, and then I'd wait 5 minutes and walk around and stare at you and give you input. So, but here you're left to kind of your own discipline to do it. But if you want to get the most out of this class, you'll get out of it what you put into it. There's no other way to describe it. So, but that's what the examples will look like. So they're posted. You can download those ahead of time before you watch the lecture. And then quizzes. So the quizzes, you'll go to quizzes. Now this is showing you again all my stuff, but you'll basically click on, it'll be just quiz 1 will be all that's there, and has the instructions. Real quickly you'll read, and then it'll say take quiz, but you also say take quiz, and then you have 45 minutes to do it, and then you'll take the quiz, you'll scan it, you'll upload it. So the way the quiz works is you'll put the answer in the quiz itself. So you can answer the answer, but if you don't upload your work, then I can't give you partial credit. So if you get it right, that's great, you get all credit. But if you don't, then it's 0. And without your work to look at, I have no way of knowing what you did. So please upload your work, because I give lots of partial credit on the quizzes. Mainly because the quizzes aren't meant to trick you. They're just there as an assessment tool for me to help me understand how the class is doing, how well you understand the material, and who's struggling and who isn't. So that'll be next Wednesday, you'll have that. Anything about the class, I'll put on announcements. If I have to reschedule office hours, I'll try to give you at least 24 hours notice. Sometimes I do have to reschedule office hours, so I'll let you know that. As far as the assignments go, if you go into the assignments page, then you'll see them under there. So for example, you'll see homework number 1 is already posted for you. It'll tell you when it's available. I leave the homework available to the end of the quarter, but it has the due date next Monday at 11 p.m. All right. And, I used to, sometimes I'd have it due at midnight, but then it just made you guys stay up that much later. So don't procrastinate. And let's see, anything else? Since the grades are all, points are all weighted equally, then since all the points are weighted equally, you can see where you are in the class by looking at your grade. So there's nothing in here, and when you look at it, you'll just see your own name, not everyone else's. But you'll have basically a column, and it'll show you all the assignments that you've done. So each homework again is worth 20 points, and then each quiz is 30 points. The midterm is worth 250 points, and then the final is worth 350 points. And so you'll collectively have all that on here. And you'll be able to see where you are going into the final. All right. Let's see if there's anything else. No, that's pretty much it. Is there anything, you guys have any questions at all? No? I know it's the first day, so you're still kind of getting your bearings. I know you have other classes. So, but, so what I would encourage you to do is at some point, jump into the material. You know, you're going to have to pace yourself. The first week, you know, as I said, isn't that challenging. So, you know, you probably won't need to put a lot of time into it, but it's, but, you know, don't fall behind. I think it's really important that if you do, you know, procrastinate, that you don't let yourself get a week or more behind, because once we get past the first week, the class does move very quickly. And I had a question as, yes, I do post the homework solutions. So those are posted on Canvas. So after I've done the homework, I will post them once it's due. But again, I can't emphasize enough not to get behind. I know that with trying to juggle all the classes and other things you guys have going on, it's easy to kind of put things off, but just try to stay on top of it. It will bite you in the butt if you get more than a couple weeks behind. So, and also if stuff isn't making sense, don't wait till the third week to come see me. Please, you know, talk to me immediately. And if you need to talk to me about anything, you know, just let me know. If you talk to me privately, we can do that too on Zoom. So, you know, I'm here. I'll help you how I can. But you know, it's kind of like you say. I can bring you the water, but I can't make you drink it. So, all right. Well, you guys, that's all I have, and have a good week. If you have questions, see me in office hours. But next week, Monday morning, we'll go ahead and talk about what we covered this week and what we're going to cover in the second week. All right.
So actually, I had a one quick question. Sorry.
Sure. Absolutely.
So on the syllabus, it says that this is like asynchronous, but we will have live meetings every Monday.
Yeah. So the reason maybe I didn't cover it, but the reason I'm doing the live meetings on Monday is that I want to give you guys a sense of how to describe it. I found that in the past when I had just a completely asynchronous class, that a lot of the students felt kind of disconnected. So what I'm doing is the purpose of the Monday lecture is just to check in, talk about what you guys covered last week, talk about what's coming the next week. Now I'll record every one of these and I'll post it on Canvas. So it's not mandatory. It's mainly just to give you guys another avenue for asking questions and to give you a little bit of extra help. So, you know, I don't take roll. So it's, you know, it's really up to you. If you're doing good in the class, and, you know, I'm not going to check and say, oh, you weren't there. So, you know, 2 demerits or whatever. So that's the idea, though, is to kind of just check in with you, see if you're understanding material, talk about, because what I've noticed that teaching this class over the last 6 years and up teen sections is that there's certain areas in the class that are challenging and certain areas that consistently students struggle in. And so I try to emphasize those aspects in that live lecture so that you guys have that little bit extra help.
Okay, perfect. And
All right.
then I also noticed that it said that the quizzes were going to be taken like during the class time or when
Yes.
specifically.
So
Okay.
the quizzes, yeah, thanks again for that. So the quizzes, what I do is I post the quiz. They're on Wednesdays. And what I did is, because I don't know your guys' schedule, but I do know that you don't have class on Wednesday from 9 to 10 because that's blocked off for this class. So what I did is I want you to take the quiz during that time period, because I want the quizzes to be taken within a fairly narrow window. That decreases what's a nice way of saying of collaboration. And so between 8 and about 10:30 or so, that's when the quiz window will open. So you're welcome to take your quiz anytime during that time.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks.
Sure. Any other questions?
You mentioned that there's a couple of sections that were kind of difficult. Are we allowed to know right now what those are?
Absolutely not. It's a top secret. No. No, I'd say, well, what I mean by it's not that, I would say that, so for example, we'll talk about moments, forced couple systems. So within chapter 3, sometimes equivalent couples can be a little more challenging. So I'll probably cover that a little bit in the live lecture. When we get to chapter 4, 3D equilibrium is a little more challenging. When we get to chapter 6, for example, machines and frames have some quirks to them. So I'm not saying that there's any one part of the class that's super hard. There's just some speed bumps, so to speak. And I find that by just discussing those in a little more detail than just leaving it to my lectures. I mean, my lectures are essentially just what I would cover if we were live, but you don't have the advantage of being able to ask me a question while you watch it. And that's what this live lecture is for, so that if during a lecture the previous week, you don't have to wait to office hours, you can just say, well, what about this? And it might jog your memory when I'm discussing the topic and of things that you may not have understood. And then it gives you a real-time ability to ask a question.
All right. Thank you.
So that's my rationale. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, have a good week. Stay out of trouble. And I'll see you next Monday, if not sooner in office hours. All right.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professor.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.